Oh, experts, I'm back today and I have a great episode coming up for you. We're talking about collaborations, community, building connections with people that will literally change the trajectory of your business. This is the time. This is the time to have that conversation, that one connection with the right person that may change things completely. That's what we're talking about, and I have two great guests coming up for you in just a moment.
Time for Book of Experts TV.
Topics you love.
Experts you trust.
Friction-free referrals.
Tried,
tested,
Trusted.
This is Book of Experts, brought to you by salesman.me.
All right, so welcome Jules Duncan Hale. Welcome Kevin Thompson to Book of Experts TV. I'm super excited to have you guys on. I don't know if there's been a better time to have this conversation in multiple ways, because next week, I'm just going to say this right up front, folks, for whether you catch us live or you're catching this on the replay, next week, that will be October 26th, we have our expert panel. We'll also be talking about referrals and boosting your business, powering your business through referrals and collaborations. Today, you're going to get a little bit of a teaser. Kevin, you'll be back with us next week, but I wanted to dive deep with you and Jules today to talk about what you guys have been doing with Tribe for Leaders.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to this. Jules, I know you are too, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So let's start with, Jules, I'll start with you if we could. What is Tribe for Leaders? Because I think that will set the context. We'll go there first, and then I want to make sure we get a little bit of background from both of you so they know why you guys have come to this mission as well.
Yes. Well, Tribe for Leaders is an exclusive invite-only community for high-level entrepreneurs, experts, and CEOs to be able to come together and have the right community. Because with the right community, what we're doing is we're helping people create more relationships, gain more trust, and be able to transfer business wisdom. So there's a lot of things that we're doing, but essentially it's a very invite-only community that is for 7-figure plus entrepreneurs.
And all right, so I love that you guys are very specific. These are 7-figure entrepreneurs. It's invite only. Like this is not a play for everyone, which is awesome, because I think that's a big mistake that folks make in the marketing circles, trying to appeal to everyone. You guys know your people. You're serving them. Kevin, why is this? You know what? I promised we'd do backgrounds. Let's hear a little, Kevin, if you'd share a little bit about how you came to this work, because I know you have a long history of creating these collaborations with players in the industry. Jules, we'll come back to you in just a moment to hear yours as well.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. I started doing strategic partnerships back in my very first one was in 2003 with Joe Polish, and it just happened so organically. And that single strategic partnership launched an entire new business for me. And in fact, the business that I had at the time, the following spring, April of 2004, we sold that business, moved into this new business. And over the course of the next 12, 13 years, we grew that business solely through strategic partnerships. And over the years, in finding those strategic partners that helped me, they were so gracious to help me expand my reach and reach out to more people. My goal was always like, well, how can I help them? And whether they became a partner or not, I was always looking for how can I help them. And so through that process, I was able to make a lot of valuable connections over the years. And in 2016, one of my partners, Bill Harris, who he since passed away, but he was the founder of Centerpoint Research Institute. In 2016, he was telling me, Kevin, he said, you know what, you've got a real gift for this. You should really look at figuring out how you could make this your full-time business. And of course, at first, I was just kind of like, you know what, how do you do that? I don't know anybody who, everybody who is a great connector, they have a business and they just kind of do that, kind of like what I did. But yet through just exploring this and just giving it thought and then meeting the right people, having the right conversations, that's how we got led to, and I met Jules, and we both had a vision for what this looked like. And to be honest, Jules' vision was much bigger than mine. I mean, I had a pretty good vision for it, but I'll tell you what, Jules, she had the real vision for it, and it was with her help that allowed us to launch Tribe for Leaders. So.
Oh, that's a great setup for you, Jules. Now I want to know more about your vision as well. I do want to say, Kevin, that it's so great to hear that you recognize you probably weren't calling it a superpower at the time, but you had this knack for doing something, and you got into that zone. You stayed in that area and really doubled down to do more of what you do really well, and it has just develop from there. I think there's a lesson. I'm underlining this because I want folks to know there's a lesson in that as well. Jewel, share a little bit more, if you would, about that vision that you were seeing, because it sounds, it's enticing.
Well, I've been a consultant for other high-powered masterminds and other influencers in the space for quite some time now. And so I have a unique perspective of what I really see on both sides. And my superpower is experience. I really, really love my audiences, and I want people to have the best experience. And it's just like fine cooking. It's like when you're cooking, it's like there's so many levels you can add to it. And so we can add so much to our experiences. And so with Tribe for Leaders, what we wanted to do is we actually wanted to solve the problem that most people have when they enter any type of high-level group, high-level mastermind, high-level network, is they are looking for more strategic connections. They are looking for more strategic partners that add newfound revenue to their business. Yet there's a massive gap between that actual, being able to receive that. So we wanted to actually make that our focus line. Because whatever you focus on, you can improve. And so we focus on creating strategic relationships so that you can have what you're looking for. Because strategic relationships is one of the best ways to be growing your business and something every single business needs. Yet, how do we make those happen? So what Kevin and I do is we facilitate people. And I love the word facilitate because it comes from the Latin word of facil, which means to make easy. So Kevin and I make it easy for people to make the right connections with the right people and be able to spend time together to actually build relationships that matter. And then from there, everything else is so much more possible.
So one of my superpowers is that I can hear our audience, even though they're not piped into my earbuds right now. I can hear them out there saying, all right, this sounds really interesting. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And I like the easy button approach that you've described, the facilitating that experience so it's easier on everyone who's involved. But why isn't this happening? Why doesn't it just happen organically? Why do we need to facilitate it?
Yes. Well, there's a lot of things that happen to actually make a relationship be able to to really gain traction and gain speed. And that requires trust. And so in a budding relationship, especially if we just take the example of us meeting at a networking event, there's sometimes not enough context in the situation for people to understand why this is the next right thing to do. People need to have compelling evidence, especially entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the most busiest people around, and they understand the value of their time. So there has to be context built into everything so people understand how to navigate together. And also, one of the things that I love that Jay Abraham said once was the best way to leverage what you have is to actually point it somewhere else. So you need diversity. You need people around that aren't in your space. You need people that have a completely different perspective than you so that you can see what you're not seeing. And each one of us is we can hold up a mirror to each other. And so when you have facilitators, essentially, what Kevin and I are is a strategic matchmaker. So we can help find people that are even there's very easy ones that pretty much everyone can see. But what we're really interested in is creating the relationships that are not as easy for people to connect the dots, but everything is in alignment because we're looking at energy. We're looking at how these people would be able to work together and what their experiences are in comparison to each other. What would that look like if we actually put it in a room? And what we do at Tribe for Leaders is we actually make it easier to get to know the people that you want to know before you even talk about strategic partnerships. Because, we have to start there. Let's first start and see people for being a person. And then from that, everything else can grow.
Yeah, this is great. It's a beautiful vision that you both are creating here. I'm curious, Kevin, to hear from your perspective. How do you know who the right people are? The model that you kind of described, you and Jules as facilitators are able maybe to see some of those red threads that connect us or should be connecting us. But what about for the individual who's sort of thinking of, do you have a process, I guess, or how do you think about the who, not the how?
Yeah. When we started doing this, just because of my background, I had a lot of connections, a lot of people that I already knew that would be a right fit for what Jules and I were talking about doing. So, starting out, we invited those people. We had those kind of conversations with them. And what we were looking for was two things. First, as Jules said, we attract a very specific kind of entrepreneur, seven-figure entrepreneurs who have an existing business with a track record of getting great results for their clients. And on the other side of the coin, they are also some of the most giving, generous, lead with a helping hand people of integrity you've ever met. And so, when you get that kind of an entrepreneur together who is that way, whose goal is that, they show up wanting to contribute, wanting to help other people. And so we knew that, when you have a community of people who show up that way, everybody else is in return going to get exactly what they need as well. And so, when everybody shows up to give, to help, to contribute, and that's their focus and that's how they show up, like I said, everybody in the group gets to be on the receiving end as well. And as far as how we find people, now we've been starting to get some traction. We had that initial base of people that we knew to invite, that we knew they would thrive in a community like this. And now as we meet more people, we have kind of like this thing that we do called a virtual roundtable. And this is our way to give. It's just kind of getting a small group of entrepreneurs, typically 4 to 6 at a time, that we feel are the right kind of people. And we just let them experience this. We get them together virtually in a small room and just give them a structure to use. And it lets them share with each other. It lets them get insight, get perspective for their businesses, help solving their biggest problems, all of that kind of thing. And on the other side of the coin, it also lets Jules and I, it gives us an opportunity to see how they show up. And for the people who show up the right way, it's really simple, because we just say, hey, if you got value from this, if you got, insights that are going to help with your business, if you got valuable perspective, if you'd like to experience more of this, well, you know what, we'd love to have a conversation with you and find out how this would be a big win for you. And so we just follow up with people one-on-one that way. So.
Yeah, I really love that model, because as you mentioned, they're gaining value. So I'm going to use the phrase, all of us together are smarter and better than any single one of us alone. They're getting that value. But as you mentioned, it's also giving the two of you a chance to hear them, hear their story, maybe hear their challenge points, so that you guys can work your magic, which is making some of those strategic introductions that literally could be an inflection point in their business. I really love this. From a networking perspective, can we talk for a moment about the reason why I'm bringing this up is we see a lot of people, we're in the pandemic, people are not networking in real life. We're not able to go to the conventions, the big events that we may have. Travel is limited in some ways. Even if it's not, I think people are electing to do more through the screen and make those connections. So with that emphasis, there's also been a challenge of, I don't have time to just network for network's sake. It sounds like there's magic in the small group format that you guys, would you agree that is part of what bringing them together in groups 4, 5, 6 people, as opposed to the one-to-one that you normally see in the networking examples?
Yes, absolutely. And to speak to your point, Tobin, right now, because of COVID, it's like people don't even get to see people smiling at each other most of the time if you go out in public because of the mask. People don't trust each other to hug each other anymore. People are even more disconnected than we've ever been, because of COVID. And yet humans thrive and need connection. So right now, more than ever, it's so important to be able to see the connection and realize that, we do need to connect. And why we like, having smaller groups is we want everybody to get to know each other. And we want the conversation to be very relevant and everybody to have a piece, because it's naturally people that have extroverted tendencies will speak up and will speak. But the people that are more quiet and soft-spoken, and I tend to be in that crowd. So I wanted to make something for people that were like me, that really have a lot to say and a lot to share, but feel more comfortable in deep conversation versus, starter conversations. And so having people, and what we do is we actually keep people together. So for 1 quarter. So you'll go to one meeting over a 3-month period, spend 6 to 8 hours with these same people, getting to know each other. And what we do at every single one of our meetings is we celebrate your wins, because you need people that will celebrate with you. And then we ask you, where are you at right now? And what are your opportunities? And what do you need help with? Let's talk about what no one else wants to talk about. Most people front at these opportunities and want to show how amazing they are. But what do you need? We need to talk about what you need, because I promise you, if you get in the right room with the right people, anything you need, there's someone that has at least one solution. And for us, most of the time, most of the people have a perspective and wisdom to share. And so it's really about this opportunity to ask for and receive what you need with incredible business wisdom transfers. And because it's not direct. Sometimes the question is not directed from you, but it actually is very relevant to you. But you may not have had any language or even understanding of what you were looking for. And someone just asked it in a way that it just opened your world. And we don't just learn when information is pointed at us. We learn when we absorb things that we're observing. So it has so many different experiences all built into one. And because we carry them together and they know that they're a group, we literally had a group this week tell us, could we pay you to keep us together? Because we really love each other. It's they really had this deep connection. The conversations have been incredible, because we're going from superficial, we take that out of the door right away when we ask people, tell us what you need, where are you at? And then from there, spending time in real authentic connections and conversations, all of a sudden the conversations have gotten so much more deep. And people are really starting to get so much more clarity, because we raise to our highest self when we're amongst people we respect. And when we start talking out there and we can hear ourselves talk, we start hearing our own gaps. And then we can have other people ask questions, and so we can see others. And so we start just gaining even more clarity and traction, because now we're working on ourselves and we're working on our business during this time that we have the most incredible people next to us that can give their insight, can give their support, and really show up for us. And then guess what, Tobin? We're going to do it again next month. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's a continuous conversation. And Tribe for Leaders, what it feels like is you don't know which pod you're going to be dropped in next, because there's going to be someone incredible there for you in that pod. And what I do is I am able to coordinate all these pods, and I promise every single person that's going to be the group for them. And that's what it is. It's we look at their perspective, and because the group is so vast and has so many skill sets, and Kevin and I have so many touch points. We actually connect after our meetings and do office hours. We know who's married, who has kids, what's going on in your life, what are you winning at, and where are your challenges. And then guess what? All of a sudden you're in a group of people that can support you where you're at. Because Kevin and I care so much that this is the reason it's invite only. And Kevin and I actually have a binary system. We both must agree that this member is going to raise the level of the group, or they're not even invited in to begin with. And so from that point on, what we do is we have all these beautiful skills and people that have all this experience, and we start creating experience pods so people can go on a journey together and learn new language and learn from each other and be able to be free and get the thing they need the most for everything they want in their life, which is clarity, support, and community.
Yeah, I really love this. Kevin, can we talk for a second? Let's zoom back out for a moment at a higher level than Tribe for Leaders and talk about, I'm curious, and I want the audience to hear your take on process. The critical, I don't know if it's 3 steps, 4 pillars, what it might be, of how you think about building relationships in a collaborative way with others for their benefit and for your own, because honestly, we'll have some folks hearing this that are not yet the 7-figure entrepreneurs. They aspire to join you and Tribe for Leaders. What do they need to be doing to get there?
Well, one of the key things is definitely is that, we all have to show up, leaving our pride and ego at the door. And, so many settings, whether it's, events, whether it's masterminds, what have you, there's all this posturing that goes on that because we're concerned of like, what would people think if they knew the real me? And of course, I'm not going to, say that this hasn't been me too. For so much of my life, this was me too. And we're concerned about what other people would think, when the reality is, and what I've discovered at this point is that no matter how successful somebody looks like they are from the outside, no matter how big their business is, no matter, any of that stuff, we're all dealing with the same kind of stuff. We've all got the same demons. We've all got stuff that we're dealing with. And when we can just show up and, like I said, be, in a place of service, wanting to contribute, wanting to help others. And, that is going to get you so far in life. And like now, more than ever, people are looking for people that they can trust. I mean, trust has been broken in so many ways. And yet the way that we really gain trust is by just being open and candid. And, a close friend of mine, has this saying that he always says is that, nothing to prove and nothing to hide. And when we show up that way, in especially in a networking environment, and the second thing is too, is like, not, coming from a standpoint of like talking about ourselves and what we do. You know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about what I do. They care about who I am. And am I somebody that they want to get to know? And in so many networking environments, everybody's talking about, what they do, how they do it, all of that kind of stuff, with the goal of thinking like, well, if I let people know what I do and all that, then they'll want to get to know me better. They might want to hire me, do business with me, refer business to me, whatever. And the challenge is when everybody's talking like that, nobody's listening and connections are not being made. And so we've got to come from this place of service. We got to come from this place of being able to let our guard down a little bit, leave our ego at the door and just say, hey, you know what? Yes, I am brilliant at this. I have this skill set. That's absolutely amazing. I got years of expertise, of experience at this, but you know what? I also have very real challenges I'm dealing with. And I really want to talk about that as well, and giving people the space and the container, if you will, to be able to talk about that, knowing that they're not going to get judgment from anybody else in the space. And in fact, they're going to be met with nothing but open arms from like-minded CEOs and entrepreneurs who want the best for them, who want to see them win, and they're going to give them valuable insight and perspective and feedback. So
I'm going to use your words, Kevin. You said now more than ever. By the way, I want to let you guys know I also stuck in the chat as Jules, you had shared first. Kevin, you just said, nothing to prove, nothing to hide. And I added on there, how will you show up for your next networking event? Because I think that's a great frame of reference for folks that are out there trying to make new connections, trying to meet maybe clients, maybe strategic partners, but out there being active on the web. And then Jules, you had shared earlier, right room, right people to get the solutions that you need. I thought it was such a succinct way of describing this mission and this pathway that you guys are on. I want to make sure as we start to wrap up here that we talk a little bit about next steps. So for folks that want to learn, if you are that 7-figure entrepreneur and this really intrigues you about getting in the right room with the right people, you can go to tribeforleaders.com. That's tribeforleaders.com, and you can connect with Kevin and Jules. You can find them on LinkedIn or Facebook as well. You can also do, you guys, one of the interesting things here, it's invite only. So there's not a lot of outward push to make this happen. You kind of need to know somebody. So, what does the process look like for someone out there? Jules, I'll turn this to you. For someone that is interested, looks like they qualify, what happens next as they're sort of seeking you guys out?
Yes. What happens next is if they feel like they're the right fit, we actually have time on our calendar because we really want to meet the right fit people, and we will have a brief conversation. Let's see where you're at. Let's see if we can help you. And we would love to meet you because we really, really do feel that it's through connections that everything gets greater. And so it's finding those right people and being open to it is what we really, really believe.
Love it. Love it. I mean, this whole episode has been all about how to create more of those collaborations in your business, how to hit that new trajectory for your business by connecting with those other folks, really focusing more on the who and less as much on the how. That will come into play anyways on its own. So I really love this. So appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about Tribe for Leaders today. I'm going to let you go because I know you're actually going into one of your events. So I want to get out of your way so you can go do what you guys do best. But really appreciate this, you guys taking the time. And then I want to emphasize for our audience, make sure you come back and join us. This is Monday, October 26th. So next Monday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. This is our Experts Need to Know show. Kevin's going to be one of the experts on the panel that night. We're going to be talking about referrals, creating more referrals in your business. And right after the event, we go into speed networking. So it's a combination. Think of it like when we used to go to events in real life, we'd hear, the sage from the stage or the expert panel on stage sharing ideas, thoughts, things that could help and change our business. And then when the event ended, we'd all kind of spill out into the hallway. And that was a great chance to meet folks, maybe they were up on stage sharing ideas. Maybe they were in the audience with you listening to these. You get to meet both. So that's what we're going to be doing next Monday, the 26th. Actually, we do it most Mondays. We have next Monday, we're going to be talking referrals. The Monday after that in November, we're going to be talking about using a book to build your business as well. So we pick topics that our community at Book of Experts they all want to know more about and things that can actually take your business to the next level. So again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to share a little bit about what you're doing. I love this story from multiple points, but most importantly, this idea of making the connection so that all of us can be stronger and better together.
Yes.
Appreciate you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.